There are moments in live television that nobody plans for. No producer, no publicist, no carefully crafted talking point can stop what happens when two strong personalities collide in real time, in front of millions of people, with no safety net and no second take. This is one of those moments. Subscribe to Prime Talk, hit that like button, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. We cover the moments that live television never lets you forget. Robert Downey Jr. has spent decades carefully constructing one of the most remarkable comeback stories in Hollywood history. From a career that nearly collapsed under the weight of personal struggles in the late 90s and early 2000s, to becoming the face of the most successful franchise in cinematic history, his journey is nothing short of extraordinary. By the time he walked onto the set of The View, he was Iron Man. He was Tony Stark. He was, in the eyes of much of the world, untouchable. Joy Behar, on the other hand, has spent decades doing something entirely different. As a co-host of The View, the long-running ABC daytime talk show, she has built a reputation as someone who does not shy away from the uncomfortable question. She is sharp, direct, and unapologetically willing to go places that other interviewers politely sidestep. That combination of instinct and boldness has made her one of the most recognized voices in American daytime television. When these two sat across from each other on live television, the setup looked routine. A major Hollywood star promoting a major project, surrounded by the familiar round table of hosts, cameras rolling, audience applauding. Standard procedure. That is exactly what made what followed so striking. Because nothing about what happened next was standard. The interview started the way these things usually do. Pleasantries. Light laughter. The kind of easy back and forth that fills airtime and keeps everyone comfortable. Downey was polished, as he always is. Charming, quick on his feet, projecting the kind of effortless confidence that has made him one of the most watchable personalities in the entertainment industry. But somewhere in that conversation, the tone shifted. A question landed differently than expected. A response came back sharper than anticipated. And for a few extraordinary seconds, the entire energy of that studio changed. The audience felt it. The other hosts felt it. The cameras caught all of it. What made this moment so significant was not just what was said. It was where it happened. Live television operates without mercy. There is no pause button. No editorial room to soften an edge or remove an awkward silence. Whatever happens in that studio in real time is what the audience gets. And on this particular day, what the audience got was something raw, unfiltered, and genuinely memorable. This was not a manufactured controversy. This was not a planned stunt for ratings. This was two people, in the middle of a live broadcast, arriving at a collision that neither one of them could fully walk back from. Stay with us, because the moment that changed everything is closer than you think. To understand why this confrontation carried the weight that it did, you have to understand the climate surrounding Robert Downey Jr. at the time of that appearance. He was not simply a celebrity making the promotional rounds. He was a symbol, a carefully maintained symbol of resilience, reinvention, and Hollywood redemption. His past was never a secret. The arrests, the addiction, the years when his name appeared in headlines for all the wrong reasons. Hollywood had largely written him off by the early 2000s. The projects dried up. The opportunities disappeared. And yet, through a combination of personal transformation and a second chance offered by a handful of key collaborators, he rebuilt everything. By the time Marvel launched Iron Man in 2008, Downey did not just play a superhero. He became one in the public imagination. That public image was meticulously managed. Every interview, every appearance, every carefully timed joke was part of a larger construction. Downey was brilliant at controlling the narrative. He knew how to give audiences just enough vulnerability to feel connected, while keeping the deeper, more complicated parts of his story at a comfortable distance. It was a masterclass in celebrity image management, and it had worked remarkably well for years. The View, however, operates on a different frequency than most promotional platforms. It is not a late-night format built around softballs and applause breaks. It is a round table of strong, opinionated women who have built their careers on honest, sometimes blunt conversation. The show has a long history of moments where guests were surprised by the directness of the exchange. Politicians, athletes, actors. The format does not apologize for its edge. Joy Behar, in particular, had developed a habit of asking the questions that publicists probably spent hours hoping would not come up. Her background in stand-up comedy gave her a timing and an instinct that could make a cutting remark land like a revelation. She understood how to hold a moment, how to let silence do the work, how to phrase something in a way that left the subject with very few comfortable places to go. In the days leading up to Downey's appearance, there was a particular subject hovering in the background of his public life. Something that had resurfaced in conversations, in profiles, in quiet industry whispers. Not a new scandal, not a fresh crisis, but something older. Something that had never been fully addressed on camera with the kind of directness that the moment deserved. The audience in that studio had no idea what was coming. Most of the viewing public at home was tuned in expecting the standard celebrity interview. Promotional talking points. A few laughs. A clean exit. What nobody anticipated was that Joy Behar was about to ask the one question that Downey's entire promotional machine had been carefully built to avoid. And she was going to ask it live, with no way to run, and millions of people watching. The tension was already present before anyone said a word. You can feel it when you watch the footage back. Something in the room, something in the posture of the hosts, something in the way the conversation was being guided with quiet, deliberate intention toward a specific destination. The destination was arriving faster than anyone in that studio realized. The round table was in full flow. The conversation had moved through the expected territory. Career achievements, upcoming projects, the kind of reflective commentary that accompanies any interview with someone who has had a long and complicated public life. Downey was in his element. Relaxed, articulate, holding the room with the ease of someone who has done thousands of these appearances. Then Joy Behar spoke. The question was direct. Not hostile in its delivery, but pointed in its intention. She brought up a topic connected to his past, a specific period, a specific set of circumstances that he had addressed publicly before. But never quite like this, never in a format this unforgiving, never in a moment this unscripted. The studio went noticeably quiet. Downey's expression shifted. It was subtle, the kind of change that lasts only a second or two before a practiced public figure reasserts control. But it was there, a tightening around the eyes. A slight pause before the response came. The rhythm of the conversation, which had been smooth and almost musical up to that point, broke. He answered. But the answer was not what Behar appeared to be looking for, and she did not let it pass without pressing. She followed up. Not aggressively, not cruelly, but with the kind of quiet persistence that is far more difficult to deflect than an outright attack. A smile stayed on her face throughout. Her tone never wavered. That, in many ways, made it more formidable. Downey pushed back. The response was sharp, measured, and delivered with a precision that made clear he understood exactly what was happening. He was not confused by the question. He was not caught entirely off guard in terms of the subject matter. What he appeared unwilling to accept was the framing, the implication, the idea that in this room, on this day, the terms of the conversation were not his to set. He made that clear. Not with anger, at least not the kind that raises a voice or breaks composure, but with a firmness that drew a line, visibly, in real time, in front of everyone watching. The message in his response was unmistakable. He was shutting the line of questioning down, not walking away from it, not laughing it off, closing it, directly, with the kind of authority that left very little room for continuation. The other hosts at the table reacted. There were glances exchanged. The kind of nonverbal communication between people who have been doing live television long enough to recognize when a moment has crossed into genuinely unpredictable territory. The audience in the studio shifted. You could feel it in the recorded sound, a slight change in the energy of the room. The cameras, as they always do on live television, kept rolling. No cut, no commercial break arriving conveniently to reset the atmosphere. Just the moment, unedited, unmanaged, exactly as it happened. For a few seconds, nobody in that studio was performing. They were simply present in something real. The seconds that followed were some of the most telling in the entire exchange. Behar, to her credit, did not retreat into embarrassment. She did not overcompensate with laughter or pivot awkwardly to a safer topic the way some hosts might. She held her position with the composure of someone who has navigated live television long enough to understand that the moment itself, however uncomfortable, was not a mistake. It was television doing exactly what television at its best is supposed to do. Downey recalibrated quickly. The professionalism was visible. He guided the conversation toward steadier ground, and the segment continued. But the room never fully returned to what it had been before that exchange. The easy, promotional rhythm was gone. In its place was something more honest and considerably more charged. The studio audience responded with the particular kind of energy that only emerges when something genuinely unexpected has just happened on live television. not the manufactured excitement of a crowd prompted by a production assistant. Something more instinctive than that. The recognition of a real moment, unscripted and unplanned, unfolding in real time. In the days and weeks that followed, clips of the exchange circulated across social media platforms with remarkable persistence. The moment was analyzed, debated, replayed. Some viewers sided firmly with Downey, arguing that the questioning crossed a line, that his past had been publicly addressed and that returning to it served no constructive purpose. Others praised Behar for refusing to treat a major celebrity with the deference that most promotional appearances quietly demand. What almost everyone agreed on, regardless of which side they took, was that the moment was real. In an era of carefully managed celebrity appearances, algorithmically optimized content, and interviews that feel more like rehearsed performances than genuine conversations, this exchange stood apart. It had weight. It had friction. It had the unpredictable quality of something that nobody in that building had fully anticipated. For Downey, the clip became a reference point in broader conversations about celebrity image control, about how much of a public figure's narrative belongs to them and how much belongs to the audience watching. His handling of the moment, the sharpness, the refusal to be led somewhere he did not want to go, added a layer to his public persona that was different from the polished, self-deprecating charm he typically projected. For Behar and The View, the exchange was a reminder of what made the show significant in the first place. Not the celebrity bookings or the promotional segments, but the moments when the format lived up to its original premise. Honest conversation. No filter. No safety net. That is what live television, at its best, has always been. And that is why this particular moment, years later, still gets watched, still gets debated, and still carries the same charge it had the day it aired. If you made it this far, you already know this channel is worth your time. Subscribe to Prime Talk, hit the like button, leave a comment telling us whose side you were on, and share this with someone who loves the moments that live television never lets you take back. We will see you in the next one.